one of the things I learned when I had been a negotiator with the Palestinian Authority during the 1990s, and I reviewed the negotiating history of the Oslo agreements, there's a small point, but very significant one, that most people don't know. The original Oslo agreements in 1993 did not require, first of all, a freeze on any kind of settlement construction in the West Bank, because it wasn't seen that these settlements are going to determine the final borders of anything. But not only was there no settlement freeze in the original Oslo agreements, and nonetheless Arafat agreed to have Abu Mazen sign them on the White House lawn, but also Jerusalem was treated with a completely different status than the rest of the West Bank. Whereas the West Bank as a whole was treated as an area that would ultimately be divided in the in the interim agreement of 1995 as an area divided between A, B, and C sectors. Jerusalem was kept under Israeli control, and it was an issue for permanent status negotiations in the future. Therefore, during that interim period, until we reached a permanent status agreement, there was no requirement that Israel limit its sovereignty, zoning and planning, which is part of the authority that a sovereign government has, in the area of Jerusalem. And nonetheless, again, the Palestinian Authority, or the PLO, which was the legal international entity that signed for the Palestinian Authority, agreed to the terms of those agreements. And also, as a result, during all the negotiating periods, whether you're talking about 1990, the period leading up to the 1993 Oslo agreements, whether you're talking about the negotiations over the 1995 interim agreement, whether you're talking about the negotiations over the Hebron agreement, whether you're talking about the negotiations over the Y agreement, and subsequently up to Camp David in the year 2000, Israel kept building for its residents, just as Palestinian Arabs built for their needs, either in the areas under their control or elsewhere. Because the future borders between Israel and the Palestinians will not be determined by who's building where, but by free negotiation in which the two sides reach an agreement. When we had negotiations going, the building freeze was not a necessary component to create a better atmosphere. It wasn't demanded before, and now it's suddenly being demanded. It doesn't make sense. And as I said before, especially after Israel unilaterally pulled out of the Gaza Strip in 2005 and showed it was willing to forcibly take 9,000 of its people out, how can you say that if you build here, this precludes something else?